In relation to the rejection aspect of publishing, it's very common to get papers rejected, and very well-established academics still get papers rejected. So I suppose the first thing to say is it's important to see that as part of the process. I would say some of the things I've noticed, both in my role as peer reviewer and in my involvement with the journal, is that the number one reason for a desk reject of papers in a journal that I've been involved with, a desk reject means that it's rejected before it even goes out to peer review, so the editor is rejected, is that the paper that's submitted is irrelevant to, or not very strongly linked to, the aims of the journal. So that's the first thing, and that underscores the importance of finding the right journal to submit to, and not just taking a scattergun approaches and submitting the same paper in loads of different places. So that's the first thing. Obviously, rejection or non-rejection is linked to your choice of journal and whether it's aligned with the aims of your paper. The other two things I've noticed in relation to peer reviewing, and this is in the social sciences, is poorly written or poorly structured papers are pretty common, and that's again even amongst established researchers or academics. So I would strongly urge you to ask a critical friend, in other words, somebody who's on your side, who's willing to give you constructive feedback, to read your paper before you try to submit it. Another thing I've noticed, again, this is in the social sciences, is a poorly conceptualized paper, so kind of a thin conceptual or theoretical basis for it. Again, that underscores the importance of obviously deepening that, but also engaging with some critical friends. Your supervisor could be able to help you there. One thing to maybe bear in mind is that there's different types of papers. So you might have kind of a very practice-focused paper, that might not require the same level of theoretical detail. Or you might consider, if you want to get a bit of practice in publishing, submitting a book review, which are relatively easy to get published. Now, bear in mind, it doesn't have the same status as a published original peer-reviewed paper. Book reviews aren't generally peer-reviewed. And I wouldn't do loads and loads of them because that can detract time from your actual thesis. But it is kind of a good way of showing that you're part of an intellectual community, that you're engaged in the field, and it can get you used to the kind of publication process. So you could even contact a book reviews editor of one of your preferred journals and kind of pitch a piece. So there are just a couple of tips in relation to publishing. In terms of dealing with rejection, take on board the feedback that was given. If you're lucky, the peer reviewer will have given you good constructive feedback. So try and view that as a developmental process. Take that feedback and use it in the next iteration.